You're known as the king of games for never having lost a game in your life. However, little does anyone know you're actually cursed so that every time you lose a game you get sent back in time and be forced in a time loop until you win. Story 1. Robert knew it was time to win. His blessing of never being able to lose had them playing for what would have been weeks in real time. Instead they sat across from each other locked in this embrace of competition, playing the same game over and over. He knew every move she would make in response to his, and it was impossible to lose again. The chessboard sat between them ready to begin. "I guess I'll go first," she said. Of course. She made the same first move every game, and Robert could see the next 20 moves ahead. The path to victory was clear as day, it was only a matter of time. He made his first move and asked, "What made you start dancing?" Her eyes lit up as she thought back to her childhood. "The first time I saw the Broadway melody of 1940 on television. Eleanor Powell performed Begin the Begin with Fred Astaire, and that was when I fell in love. She was dazzling. I knew right then I wanted to be like her." Robert had heard this story many times now, but he knew the distraction that remembering her childhood would bring. She continued recalling her journey through dance school that led to her career dancing in theaters, on cruise ships, and even in movies. Joy shined out of her as she spoke, and she didn't focus on the moves she was making. He moved his piece to claim one of hers and she barely registered the loss. Victory was only 4 moves away. Robert waited for her to notice. "Oh, look at that. I've played myself into a corner while I was caught up telling you stories," she said. "Maybe that was my plan all along? You devil. You always did know how to get me talking, but I'm not out of this yet." She made the only move left to her in order to have any hope of winning. Robert went to move his piece into checkmate, but pain gripped his heart. He couldn't do it. Instead he made a show of making the wrong move, and within 4 moves he was checkmated. "You know better than that, Robert. I can't believe you let me win." The world faded to black around him, then color swam back into existence. He found himself sitting across from her once again with a chessboard ready to play between them. Sounds from the equipment monitoring her vitals were cruelly beeping away. Her frail form looked so weak in that gown. "I guess I'll go first," his mother said. Of course. Story 2. When Gary was a kid he reveled in his abilities. Undefeated, gifted with the power of unlimited chances, yet, he'd admit, it was fun for a while. When he was young his parents called him extra lucky for winning every board game. When he was a teen he loved beating his friends at Mario Kart. Hey, when he was a bit older, he was even able to make a fortune gambling at any casino or slot machine he walked up to. Yet, those were fun for a bit. But there was one thing that always stopped him, no matter what. No matter how long he held out, how hard he tried, there was always one game he could never win. And now, Gary was tired. He didn't play games for fun or fame. All he wanted was a simple life, one without infinite loops. He tried, he really did. He had a wife, now, and a kid. And things were fine for him. But they never lasted. One day he kissed his wife goodbye on her way to work and started prepping his son for school. Always on his tablet, getting him to leave it behind and get in the car was always a hassle. Engrossed as he was in the tablet, he didn't so much as register his father's request to leave. Humoring his kid, Gary approaches and asks, "What's so interesting today?" Oh, check out this old video, it's older than you are, I bet." Gary rolled his eyes at his son's dig at his age, but nevertheless peered over his shoulder to his screen. "Okay buddy, but just one more video then we really have to go, okay?" But as he finally looked at the screen, a long-forgotten memory surfaces. He must have seen this video a long time ago. The generic flashy animation dances across the tablet screen to a final black frame with one line of text on it. The game. Oh, she-dash. Gary woke up. It was 2008. God fucking damn it, not again. Story 3. It all started with a game of hopscotch. A childish game, a gaggle of competitive brats, and my own will to win and show off meant that when I lost, I didn't exactly take it well. A badly worded wish muttered through tears later, I found myself standing back at the starting square, with no idea of what just happened. When the children screamed at me to take my turn, I quickly realized what happened. That started a lifetime of good luck and fame. I was unbeatable, no matter the competition. Be it physical or mental, serious or casual, individual or team, my presence meant that the victory was a guarantee. I coasted all the way to high school like this, only to be challenged in a way I had never thought possible during my first PE class. I had shifted to a new school for higher education. People here did not know my reputation, and when time came for an athletic trials, they were ready to give their all. Especially in the 100-yard dash. Billy was his name, and Billy was blessed with long legs, a hard-working lung, and a will to win. I lost count how many times I ran the race against Billy. It wasn't then that I realized that my blessing was actually a curse. Billy never gave up, not even the time I won. What happened was that Billy tripped. Billy was shocked, but I wasn't. I mean, given we had run the race over 100 times, this was bound to happen, right? I was more careful then. I never picked a game I wasn't already good at. I still had nightmares of trailing Billy down an endless trek, sweat bouncing of my body and my lungs craving for air. Unfortunately, I had to go to college. Unfortunately, I got drunk at a party in a room full of smart people looking to do something stupid. Unfortunately, now I'm stuck in a game of chess with a genuine genius who is going to be forced to strip if he loses. And he's not planning to lose. And unfortunately, I don't know chess. I'm learning though. It's been a year, I've counted, but I learn a little more every time we play. I know it's been a year due to math. Turns out, all chess is geometry and math. Our game is for 10 minutes. It's a rapid game. Now a day has 24 hours. Each hour has 60 minutes, equaling a total of 1,440 minutes. Divided by 10 means that 144 games equals to a day. A year means 52,560 games. We've played 52,565 yet. A lot, right? Well, a grandmaster in chess is one of the highest positions available. A grandmaster usually plays up to 1,000,000 or so games to reach that level. I didn't know that the person I was competing with was a super grandmaster. Now, I'm stuck, in this game, watching the same result time and time again. Since my opponent doesn't know time reverses, he keeps playing to win, and no matter how hard I try, convincing a drunk guy to lose before a party's worth of attractive women is impossible. So I've been learning. One game at a time. It's hard, yes, to become good enough to beat a super grandmaster, that too when learning in an unorthodox fashion 10 minutes at a time. But what choice do I have? I keep playing, mentally growing older as nothing changes, my mind just a jumble of regret, forgotten memories, and chess theorems and patterns. It's only for the last 10,000 games do I realize I can hear a strange laughter as I keep playing. It's only now that I realize that the laughter has been there since my first and final loss, in a game of hopscotch, to a foreign and strange kid I had bullied before, who turned out to have an even stranger smile when he saw me cry in anger as I lost. Who probably heard my wish and decided to let it come true, knowing fully well that the child in front of him had no idea of the consequences of his wish. Oh. Checkmate. I lost again. Here we go. Story 4. I knocked at the office door of the incumbent mayor, back after a week of re-election campaign rallies. It was after hours, and the floor was empty except for him. The secretary downstairs let me in when I told her that I was a private detective, with information that I could only discuss with the mayor. It wasn't a lie. You do know that it's after hours, right? He said as I opened the door to let myself in. I shut the door behind myself and walked over to the desk. I adjusted my tie and stuck my hand out to shake his. Yes, but I have some things we need to discuss. You must be the detective Marina said was coming up. Would you care for a drink? He stuck his hand out to shake mine and reached underneath his desk for a bottle of whiskey. He poured 2 glasses and moved one to my side of his desk. I grabbed the 2 glasses by the inside of the glass and switched them around. I pulled up a chair and sat down at his desk. It was covered with paperwork, strewn like confetti across his workspace. I sat my drink down on one of the few spaces that didn't have paper on it, and looked back up at the mayor. I believe Marina said that you had something you wanted to discuss? You caught me at a good time. He was a good politician, and put on a mask of optimistic sincerity that would fool almost anyone. But when you've played as many games as I have, you learn to tell a bluff from the truth. I don't come here to give information, I came here to get it. I know that you work for the Gagliano family. I'm just here to figure out how far the connection goes, and what all you've done for them," I said as I watched him take a sip of his drink. His fake smile fell, and an emotionless coldness took its place. This was the real man, the one that didn't hide behind the guise of electability all day. He didn't say anything, so I continued. "But I'll make it harder for myself, let's make this a game. You like poker, right?" I pulled out a pack of cards from the pocket of my trench coat, opened them, and began shuffling. "For every hand I win, you'll answer one of my questions." I knew gambling was the mayor's weakness. The public rumor was that he spent 30% of his taxpayer salary at casinos, but the truth was closer to 45%. It was also unofficial payments to the mob, whose ownership of said casinos wasn't a secret. "For every hand you win, I'll let you fire a revolver-loaded Russian roulette style at me. You get to kill the one man who knows your secret," I said, without a change of expression. I was being serious, but I knew that I couldn't lose. I pulled the .357 Magnum out of my holster and loaded one round into the chamber before spinning it and setting it on his desk. "Think I'm bluffing?" I handed the deck to him, and he cut the deck before handing it back to me so I could deal the cards. I tossed out 5 cards to both of us, before placing the deck of cards onto the desk, right next to the gun. I looked at my hand, a pair of 7s, a jack, a queen, and a 2. "I'll take 3, I said, discarding everything but my 7s. It paid off, getting me a pair of 3s and a king in return. "Gimme 2, the mayor said, tossing 2 of his cards in the discard pile. I tossed him 2 more, and he set his cards down on the table. I fold. I sat my cards down on the table, showing him my 2 pairs. "According to your financial records, at least 40% of donations to your campaign come from Capital International, an investment company known to be a front for the mafia. Were you aware of this when you went to go meet the CEO just this week?" "Yes, I was. In politics, you learn that there are some things that don't need to share, that won't hurt people if they don't find out." He looked me in the eyes as he said this, unafraid. He was telling the truth. I handed the deck back to him to cut, and dealt the cards out once more. This time I wasn't so lucky. I got a couple low cards, none of them matching and off all 4 suites. I might lose this one, but it wouldn't matter. I got rid of 4 of my cards, holding onto my highest, a jack. This time, luck wasn't so much on my side. I got a pair of 3s, a 6 and an 8. It wasn't good, but it was what I had. He discarded 2 of his cards, and slightly smiled as he added his 2 new cards to his hand. "I'll stay." "Call." We both laid our hands on the table. He had 3 7s. Without a word, he picked up the gun from the middle of the desk and pointed it at me, squeezing the trigger. Click. The hammer shut without the gun firing. He sat the gun back down on the table. He gathered the cards off the table and began shuffling silently. He dealt the cards, and I responded without looking up from my hand. I was bluffing, this hand was just as bad as the last one. "You frequent the casinos around here, right? Maybe you've heard the whispers about me. The stories about the man who got kicked out of the casinos after never losing a game. I think they called me the king of games." "It's true, all of it." He raised an eyebrow, almost amused. "But I knew I had the seed of doubt planted. I was an urban legend in the casinos, a hero to those who went there to make it big and a villain to those who ran them to make a profit." He looked at his hand and discarded 3 cards before grabbing new ones. To most people, he would have had the perfect poker face. But I saw his brow furrow, and his lips curl slightly, and knew to strike then. I tossed a random card into the discard pile. "I only need 1 this time." He tossed me a card, I picked it up, and glanced at it before putting it back into my pile. "I'll stay." He looked at his cards for a couple of seconds, before placing them face down on the table. "A couple of weeks ago, the head campaign manager of your mayoral opponent went missing. Just the day before, you spent over $5,000 at Sal's Pizzeria, another known mafia front. I suspect you hired a hitman, afraid that your opponent was 6 points above you in the local polls. Did you?" I took a sip from my drink. I wasn't scared of him, and I had to let him know. "Yeah, I did. This position is valuable to me, I couldn't risk losing it to some hippy-dippy peace-loving freak." I grabbed the cards off the table and began shuffling them again. "Why tell me all this? I know it's the truth, but why not just lie? It's in your blood, as a gangster, and as a politician. He pulled his chair forward, and set his elbows on his desk, looking me in the eyes. I'm telling the truth because I'm the only one with anything to win. You could do this forever, asking any questions you like, but it will never change the fact that the public will never believe some crackpot detective over the mayor. At some point, you will lose, and this gun will fire. I dealt out the cards, knowing that this would probably be the last hand. You're probably right, I said, but I just have to know the truth, even if I do lose in the process. I looked at my hand, a full house of queens over sevens. I could probably end this game right here, but I needed to know one more thing. I'll stay. I'll stay as well, the mayor said, without hesitation. He wasn't bluffing. Whatever he had, he thought it was strong enough to play without thinking about it. We both laid our cards down. He had a royal flush. I leaned back into my chair, looking at my watch, before looking up at the mayor. He picked up the gun, and aimed it at me. For the king of games, it sure seems like you're on a losing streak. I would appear that way, wouldn't it? Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more, YouTube thinks you might like these videos.